Have you ever heard a secret that could change lives? Sweet Jesus, little one, what are you doing out here alone? Maya William cried out, rushing across the expansive Remington estate lawn. The early morning mist clung to the hedges as sunlight gently filtered through the oaks. Maya, clad in her gray uniform, dropped the basket of linens as she spotted Ellie, barefoot and trembling beside the koi pond. Maya knelt beside her, heart thutu. Are you okay, sweetheart? Are you hurt? Ellie didn't speak. Her lip quivered gently. Maya whispered, neighing Mama, do you miss your mama? To her shock, Ellie blinked and whispered. Wah! Ta! I miss her. Maya's heart clenched. In that moment, the silence that had haunted the estate for weeks cracked open. Ellie had spoken. Not just spoken, but in perfect Mandarin. Do you want me to sing to you? Maya asked in Mandarin. Ellie nodded. Maya began a soft nursery tune when she used to teach during her years as a language instructor. Easily low, easy. The song wrapped around them like a warm blanket. Then came the thunderous voice. What the hell do you think you're doing? Walter Remington stormed across the lawn. The billionaire's presence always commanded attention. Tall, gray-haired, with the look of a man who never heard no. But now he looked furious. Dangerous. Mia stood quickly. Sir, I just found her. Shut your mouth, he barked. You brought her out here to manipulate her, didn't you? No, sir. She was crying. I only, in Mandarin. His voice trembled with rage. That language is not to be spoken in this house. It belonged to my wife, and now she's gone. Ellie flinched. Maya raised a calming hand. Please, sir, she responded to it. It soothes her. You're a damn housekeeper, he shouted. Not her therapist, not her teacher, and sure as hell not her mother. Then in a burst of rage, he stepped forward and shoved Maya hard. She stumbled backward, gasping, feet slipping on the wet grass. With a sharp cry, she tumbled into the koi pond. The cold water swallowed her scream. Ellie shrieked. No, but Walter didn't even look back. He scooped Ellie into his arms. Don't ever come near my daughter again, he snarled. And with that, he turned and walked away, leaving Maya drenched and shivering in the pond. Are you ready for a shocking turn of events? If you felt connected to the characters, give this video a like and drop a comment with where you're watching from. You never know, someone nearby might be watching right along with you. The next morning, Maya didn't come in, nor the next or the one after that. Staff whispered that she had fallen ill. Fever, chills, maybe pneumonia. No one knew for sure. Walter didn't ask, but Ellie did. She refused to eat, refused to speak to anyone but her rabbit. She sat on the window seat, humming Mandarin lullabies Maya had sung. Wowing ta, she whispered to her father each night. I miss her. Walter tried toys, tutors, comfort food. Nothing worked. Ellie cried herself to sleep, clutching her rabbit, and softly singing, Yeel. On the fourth night, as Walter watched his daughter crumble from across the hallway, something inside him broke. The next morning, he drove himself alone to the modest apartment complex where Maya lived. When she opened the door, wrapped in a blanket and looking pale, she stared at him in disbelief. Walter cleared his throat. How are you feeling? Maya's brow furrowed, recovering. Slowly, he looked down then back up. His voice lowered. I shouldn't have done what I did. I was angry. It's no excuse. Maya said nothing. She hasn't eaten or slept properly. She sings your songs, he added quietly. She asks for you every day. Silence stretched. I'd like you to come back, he said at last. Not just to teach, but to be her full-time nanny if you're willing. Maya met his eyes. For the first time, Walter Remington didn't look like a billionaire. He looked like a father. Desperate, humbled, lost. She considered for a long moment, then nodded. For her, she said simply. Not for you. For Ellie? Walter nodded. That's fair. And for the first time, he meant it. Maya returned to the Remington estate on a quiet Thursday morning. The house stood still under the weight of late spring rain. A gray sky pressed down on the glass roof of the conservatory, and the scent of wet pine from the garden lingered faintly in the air. Everything felt familiar and yet changed. She walked in through the service entrance, umbrella dripping. A week's worth of silence behind her. Her steps were slow, cautious, but she held her spine straight. The bruises from the fall had faded, but not the memory, not the humiliation. She had made her decision. This return was not a surrender. It was a mission. The butler, Grayson, gave her a respectful nod. "Welcome back, Miss William," he said almost softly. Maya offered a polite smile, grateful for his tone. He'd always treated her with quiet dignity, the way few in the Remington household ever did. "Ellie's in the library," Grayson added. "She hasn't left it much since you've been gone." Mia's heart clenched. She hurried through the corridors, her shoes tapping lightly against the polished floors, passing portraits of old Remington patriarchs and their distant stone-faced wives. As she reached the library doors, she paused. Inside, Ellie sat curled in the bay window, her rabbit in her lap, staring at the stormy garden outside. She hummed softly, the tune unmistakable. Yajulu. Her small voice cracked slightly on the last note. Maya opened the door slowly. "Hey, little one," she said. Ellie's head whipped around, her eyes widened. "Maya," she cried, leaping from the window and running full speed. Mia dropped to her knees just in time to catch her. Ellie clung to her, sobbing with relief. "I missed you," she whispered. "I thought you were gone forever." Mia held her tight. "I missed you, too, baby. I'm here now." They stayed that way for a long while. The rain tapping the windows in steady rhythm. Ellie's grip finally loosened, but her hand remained in Ma's. "I tried to sing like you," Ellie said, sniffling. "I heard." Ma smiled gently. "You were perfect." Their moment was broken by the clearing of a throat. Walter stood in the doorway, hands in his pockets, watching them, his expression unreadable. Ellie turned to him. "Daddy, she's staying, right?" Walter nodded. She, truncated 88,396 characters, was right. Walter settled beside them, voice soft. "We've built bridges across grief, across silence, across language, but the strongest ones are built by children who have been taught that their voice matters." Ellie smiled, placing her hand in Maya's. Together, they formed something unspoken but complete. Love, identity, legacy. The next day, Maya led her planning session for the citywide summit. Educators, nonprofits, school administrators gathered, many moved by her testimony and the Remington model. She introduced 4 pilot districts while Ellie's story of the lantern and the snowflake was shared on video. "Both light and fall," Mia said, "are necessary parts of memory." A hush followed. Then applause rooted, not showy, but powerful. That night, as winter's lights edged closer on the calendar, the 3 of them walked under the oaks that had seen sorrow and song. Ellie collected leaf lanterns that had fallen, pressing them into Mia's hand. "Memory is messier than we think," Ellie said. "But quieter than our fear," Mia squeezed her small hand. "Yes," Walter added gently. "And it only becomes home when we live it." Inside by the piano, Maya placed the chrysanthemum cor she'd worn in the morning beside Mine's photograph. She traced the petals, thinking of names, languages, mothers, and daughters. Walter sat beside her, ladder's arm around her shoulders. Outside, the leaf lanterns glowed faintly beneath moonlight, promising that even when memory fades, voice remains, and children will keep building bridges. Legacy, she realized, was not a monument. It was the quiet hum of belonging spoken across the centuries, and the soft echo of a lullaby sung in a borrowed language that had become hers. Winter's last breath lingered over the Remington estate, as snow veils gave way to the quiet stir of spring. The koi pond, once covered in ice, glowed with new life, each shimmer of its surface a promise. In the garden, Ellie's laughter danced among crocus blooms, and for the first time in years, Mia felt certain of where she belonged. Today marked The final gathering of the first full year of the Milan Legacy Fellowship, an event Maya and Walter organized beneath the oaks. Their trunks wrapped in soft white lights. Mornings had already brought warmth, but tonight the air carried a gentle chill. The fragrance of jasmine blended with candlelight, entwining memory and hope. Guests gathered in clusters, educators from the fellowship, parents whose children spoke their mother tongue again, distant students of Min's early programs, and neighbors who once whispered in the shadows. Now they stood open. Present at the heart of the clearing stood a small phoenix sculpture handcrafted by Ellie's art class. Wings unfurled, head lifted toward moonlight. Ellie approached with trepidation, trembling soft petals of words on her tongue. She cleared her throat and sang a lullaby learned from Maya. First whispered in Mandarin, now flowing in both tongues. CSSU Naivoy, we are bridge and home forever high. Her voice trembled only at the end, then steadied. Candlelight caught her eyes bright with courage. A hush fell. Walter watched from the edge of the circle, his chest swelling with pride. Maya stood beside him, heart anchored in the child before her, the legacy they had each rebuilt. After the song, Maya stepped forward to speak. This fellowship began under heavy silence. We feared eraser for heritage, for language, for belonging. But tonight, look around, see the brightness, hear the voices, remember that it wasn't just a dream. It was necessary work. And we did it together. She gestured to her right, Walter holding Ellie's small hand. To her left, fellows smiling, parents nodding, neighbors waiting for their turn. The legacy Min entrusted me with was never about legacy. It was about belonging. And when we claim belonging, we shape futures. That's your gift. That's ours together. Hands reached forward, offering ribbons of quiet applause that turned into steady resolve. Maya held Ellie's hand tight, rooted in voice, blossomed with love. Later, under eaves glimmering with new green buds, Maya and Walter walked the trail by the magnolia. She carried the phoenix sculpture in her arms. You did it, he said. You built a home out of silence. She stopped, startled. He placed a hand on her shoulder. I want you to name her, he murmured. The Garden Phoenix. Maya looked down at the sculpture, its wings outstretched across months of sorrow, courage, song. She whispered, honoring both root and sky. Walter nodded, I like that. They returned to the garden circle, holding the phoenix as Ellie circled around them, laughter soft as new petals. The event ended with mugs of jasmine tea and mooncakes for children. Firelight teased faces with gold under the oaks. Ellie presented one final surprise. A handmade scroll freshly painted by her young hand. The character's Joni loyal wings surrounded by calligraphy strokes of plum blossoms and migrating birds beneath moon and lotus. Her mother's legacy met her own wings. Maya caught her breath. Walter brushed tears from his eyes. Ellie beamed. They gathered close. The three of them framed in flicker and harmony. Under Kiat star, Maya spoke her Kiat vow. No child's voice will ever be denied here again. And beyond, where memory and hope entwined, wings would carry stories forward, forever rooted in love. Outside, winter sent its last snowflake, small, unique, a silent promise. Inside, voices rose at last in every language. Courage, heritage, belonging echoing beneath oak and moon, roots and wings forever entwined. Legacy alive, voices cherished, memory soaring, and home for all of them at last complete. True legacy is not measured by wealth, power, or bloodlines, but by the bridges we build between hearts, languages, and generations. In a world often divided by race, class, and silence, this story reminds us that love, understanding, and respect have no color, no borders. The courage to listen, to forgive, and to see each other beyond stereotypes has the power to heal old wounds and create new beginnings. When we embrace our differences as strengths and honor the forgotten voices among us, we don't just restore justice, we restore humanity. Brought to you by BUP Stories.